boys and girls. Welcome back to episode 3 of John Pochek's, I think, 72 Nova. Now with more Holley EFI. It has HP in it. It has a 330,000 mile aluminum l33 5.3 with a Little John Motorsports Stage 2 camshaft, Edelbrock mid-ram intake, Holley 160 pound injectors, billet 80 millimeter forced inductions turbo, 5-inch downpipe, twin AEM 380 external pumps, unsure what rear end and what rear gear. I would assume mid to low 300. It's a 28-inch tire. I don't know what kind of diff that is. You guys are going to have to fill me in on that one. I'm not a complete expert on that stuff. Maybe 10 bolt, 14 bolt, whatever. Anywho, let's get to the dyno pulls. Also, car has a 2-speed power glide built by John and a PTC 9.5-inch Nissan Core billet torque converter. This car is running straight 93 octane and a small 8 gallon per hour water meth nozzle. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we are to go over the information as usual. John has been on the dyno a few times. He had a blow-through carbureted 6.0 that we just did horsepower pulls on way back in the day. When was that? Man, 2014. And then he went to stock ECU. He had a 5.3 and an S475. I believe he had issues with this first motor, oil pressure or something of the sort, and he ended up sending fragments through this nice stock S475 and hurting it. What did we make? We did make 607. Yeah, we went up and down, set it up on the stock computer. And so what he did after that was put together this l33 package that he has. And when he had the turbo fixed, he sent it to Forced Inductions and they made it a billet 80. So this was pump meth and the billet 80 on the stock ECU. And these were the tune-ups I did. These are just follow-ups for you guys, just as we progressed on with the power. And we ended up making 730, but we were utterly and completely out of fuel. It was fairly lean and sketchy. It was only on a single AEM pump at the time. And I was like, man, it threw this down, but I even lifted early. I was like, I don't know if it'll make it all the way down the track. So that's up to you to keep turning it up to a point, and you can see if your wideband can keep up with this. I'm not so sure it will. Good luck. So it has been a while, and he has converted the entire thing to Holley and decided to bring it down. And oh yeah, well, let's take a look. Here we are. Here's the last pull. 2017. So just the other day, he brings it down. We make a base hit on his pretty conservative, I think this was 16 pounds. Let's go right to the logs. First hit. First hit. Okay, here we go. First hit. Yeah, roughly 16 pounds. 8 psi means dome pressure. We're targeting on top. And then this had about 12 degrees and 16 pounds, 1130 air fuel. And it produced 530. And I'm like, oh man, we can easily lean on this a little bit since he had a safe conservative tune-up in there. I went to 599, and then did I make 630 on the third hit? This is 18-ish psi. Okay, so yeah, we picked up 50 horsepower on just a few degrees of timing very easily. So 15 pounds, 15 degrees, 1130 air fuel, winging that thing out. And we made, number 2, 600 rear wheel. So it made 600 horsepower to the tire on 16 pounds, a little aluminum 5.3. Wonderful, beautiful. So we added 2 pounds, we made 631, 655. Right around here, this guy. Let's take a quick peek. Oh, we actually swung around 21 pounds, super rich, and then we started messing with everything. 675, 716, 740, 770, and this is where we started to run into a funny issue that was self-inflicted. This, in the tune, we were stuck in like the 780 range and it kept falling off, low boost again. You see these issues. So what was happening here is a setup for the boost control, for the dome control. It's called TPS modulation. If you don't have the throttle position on the floor, it modulates the target boost. Very similar to like if you want to pedal the car, if you pull out of the throttle, it changes the target boost. Because a lot of you might know that if you have a car set to target 20 some pounds of boost and you go to half throttle, the thing is still on 20 some pounds and still hazing the tires. So what's neat about this is it can, if you pedal the throttle, it'll lower the boost target, and it's easier to control, tame the beast, as we should say. So after we figured that out, number 8 here at 780 horsepower, let's take a look at the data log. So 780 rear wheel. 780 was 24 pounds, 13 degrees. His inlet temperature was incredible all day, starting at 95 and ending at 114. The only concern I had was, you can see here, I think, fuel pressure once we started making 7,800, 76 pounds, 24 psi. See, it falls off. It falls off a couple pounds. I was saying to him, maybe he's got to check his filters or something there. And then finally, when we got the boost sorted, we made the 780 and then 806. And then I must have my correction slightly off from what the dyno was. And I'm stupid and I changed these to some meme-tastic stuff. Anyway, he made 813 with the weather correction. It was 96 degrees in the dyno bay, so maybe that's just the difference. But we just hammered a tiny bit over 800. And if you watch closely on the dyno hit before this stuff starts, you can see a little puff on the top end, and that's indicative of a misfire or something of the sort. So like I said to him, like, that's the bleeding edge of this pump meth combo. Maybe if we took a degree out, it wouldn't happen. I think I looked at the logs as far as like all sorts of things, and I don't think I could find anything really particular other than we're leaning on that kind of power on straight pump quite a bit. So you can see here 27 pounds in the intake, 27 pounds of boost, 13.3 degrees of timing, probably just a little hot. 13.5 up top. That's what made 8 and change through the glide, targeting 1150 air fuel. I don't think closed loop did anything funny. It looks like it was a tiny bit fat up top. It was pulling 16% of fuel out. to try to match. Yeah, you can see here it wants to go. It goes pretty fat. I threw in some extra fuel, over 25 pounds. So on its way up here, it started yanking it out, and that could have been all it was, but with fuel pressure dropping off and how hard we were leaning on it, we really just wanted to see that 800 mark. Whether or not it's conservative, like whether or not that's doable back to back to back, remains to be seen. Throttle percentage, fairly high here. It's tough to keep the throttle down in this car at the end, I noticed. Like the way the trans tunnel is and something else is going on, it's tough to maintain that 100%. Anyway, I would love to, since this thing has 160 pound injectors in it, you can see it's at 42% duty cycle, and it's still fat. So it has 160s in it. I was like, I don't know why you're losing fuel pressure with twin AEMs. You should be okay. So check your filters or your wiring or something. All else fails, if you would like to. He says he really doesn't have ethanol at all in his area. But I'm like, well, it would be pretty neat if you would just get fill a couple cans of it and we could write a separate tune-up. Since you have so much injector, if you would get like a 4303 Magna Fuel pump, I bet we could go 1,000 horsepower on your combo. I bet there's at least another 150 rear wheel to find on this combo as is, incredibly. Maybe even close to 1,000 horsepower unlocked. And that would be cool. It would be neat to see that, right? And then I said it kind of snowballs because I think he's out of inputs and outputs on the HP, since he's using it to do bump box and he's doing fill vent dual solenoid dome control. So he's using all of his I/O. He wouldn't be able to add a content sensor unless he removes something else. The other thing is he would need he's going to go E. He needs a 4303. I said, you might as well get a 4-bar map sensor, because I bet this was 27 pounds on pump and meth. I'm like, I bet we get into the 30 some pound range on E and keep making power. So that's the other thing, is he's going to run out of map sensor around 30 pounds. He's going to need a 4-bar so we can run 43 PSI. It's like a mini snowball event. So I think he's just going to race it and see how it is for now. Obviously, he can make that decision at any time whether or not to, make the leap into the E85 realm. I told him, I think it's worth it. Even if he brings it back and we just pin the stock, not the stock map, but the 3-bar, we make like 28 pounds. We see what it likes and see if, obviously, I think it would be much safer than pushing it this far. I'd like to see this car run at least a 14 gallon per hour nozzle, or maybe 2 14 gallon per hour nozzles, and maybe lean on it again a little bit more. The only thing, like I said, I'll keep coming back, scares me is the fuel pressure dropping off right now at about 800 rear wheel. He's got to check in on that and make sure that's okay. But other than that, fantastic loadout for Mr. Pochek. 800 plus rear wheel through a glide on a little L33 on pump and meth. Incredible.